are going live. Sweet. We are officially live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast and Facebook Lives, brought to you by the legendary Chiropractor online community. This is the morning edition with your host, Johnny Rieder, and Dr. Ryan Rieder out in the United Kingdom in London. And Doc, how are we doing today?
Yeah, doing awesome. Believe it or not, the sun is shining here in the UK. It's amazing to be here today. Johnny, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I have to say, it's really impressive to see what you're doing and how you're reaching people and helping people and out there and the people you managed to get on your podcast, etc. So I feel blessed and honored to be on the call with you today and get an opportunity to meet you. So congratulations and well done, my friend.
Thank you, Doc. That means a lot to me. High praise coming from a phenomenal and very influential doc out in London. So, Doc, without further ado, I think I covered the basics of your very brief introduction of, you're a doctor, you're practicing chiropractor, you have 8 clinics over in the United Kingdom, and you hired over 11,000 clients, you brought in 11,000 clients, over 11,000 clients in the UK last year. And I think that all of your accolades and all of your past speaks for itself, but I want you to be able to share a little bit of how you got to where you're at, how you got into chiropractic, and what really brought you into this space in this profession.
Okay, cool. Chiropractor here in the United Kingdom. I'm actually, John, I don't know if you know this, I'm one of 5 first-generation chiropractors.
Awesome.
So my wife's a chiropractor. I always joke she's the only reason I passed. So I studied with her, and the cliche of getting together at college and then going on from there, and the biggest blessing of my life. And then my brother decided to study chiropractic after me, and he met his wife at college also. He obviously had a good mentor, and those 4. And then my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, went on to study chiropractic, and she is qualifying right now from a college in South Africa. She'll be finished. She's opening her practice in September, actually.
Awesome.
So that's 5 first-generation chiropractors. And then my other sister-in-law runs 4 of my practices, and my mother-in-law helps with the accounts. So when I say we're all in, we're all in. Chiropractic, every single cent I've ever made from chiropractic for a long time was just from chiropractic. Every single business achievement I've ever had was just in chiropractic. So it has given me the life of my dreams and the friends I could never thought I'd ever make. And we're so lucky and blessed to be in such an incredible profession. So I can't say I always felt that way though, because my story about finding chiropractic is not nearly as inspirational as, you'll often see the chaps that get on stage and they'll tell you how, they either had some type of, near-death experience and then chiropractic helped them out of it. And that certainly wasn't my journey. I was basically a sportsman. I played, semi-professional sport as a junior at a junior level. And I just wanted to play sport. And somebody said to me, "Hey, what are you going to do with your life?" And I realized that I needed to I actually need to go do something besides play sport. And I went to go observe a chiropractor. And I remember going to spend time with a chiropractor. And honestly, truly speaking, the only thing that I got out of it was at that point was this guy wasn't behind a desk. And I was like, I just don't want to be behind a desk. He was there challenging people. He looked like he was having fun. I was like, this is pretty cool. So I actually went to chiropractic college, and I've actually met a few people since. And whenever I tell the story, there's always a couple of students that relate to this. I never had a chiropractic adjustment until I went to chiropractic college. Never. So for me, it wasn't this like, I would truly believe that chiropractic found me. I didn't find chiropractic.
Yeah.
And I was very, very blessed from that perspective to be in that position. I went to if you will, a non-vitalistic college, and that has its own challenges, and which we won't get into too much today.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. I moved to the UK, and I'll never forget walking into my first job interview. And as I walked into the practice, it was the first time I saw open plan practice, and my eyes lit up, and the energy was amazing. And I remember, I could still see him in my head. The little old man walked up to me with a walking stick, and And it was a job interview, right? So the chiropractor said, what I want you to do is go speak to the patients. And really it was a test to see how I could communicate. And subsequently, obviously, I understand that. And I remember thinking to myself, let's go speak to the patients. And after a full day of speaking to the practice members, specifically this one practice member, the one thing that struck me was that they probably had more certainty than I did at that point in my career, which was eye-opening. I was like, what is this? What they see? I'm a chiropractor, and it was my first day in practice, really, if you will. But there's something that they see in this profession. They're talking about the miracles in their life, and how there's the one gentleman he was kind of completely paralyzed on one side because of a failed back surgery, and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Young man, you got an amazing career that you ever let anyone have a surgery that I had." First day in practice. I remember going, wow, there's something else going on here. But the number one thing was, I kind of became certain, not in an instant, but I became certain on what I needed to become certain upon. And we'll talk about that today. Some of the most successful chiropractors on the planet certainly they've got certainty in leaps and bounds. And your clients can feel it. It's like it's innate to innate. It's not spoken. They can just feel it. You can feel when someone has certainty, or or knows about the thing that they're doing, or is passionate about the thing that they're doing. So that was my journey, and then I went into that, and I very, very quickly I was very blessed as an associate. I was very within the first year. I mean, I think probably 10,000 adjustments within my first year of practice, and high volume, like within a short space of time, and that brought up other challenges that I foresaw and wanted to do. So I'm a bit different from most people. I really like the idea of freedom. So certain aspects of that made me feel that there was something else out there, and I never forget hearing a definition of what a true business is, and really understanding that I didn't have a business. The definition of a true business is a profit-making enterprise that works without you. So I really strove, like, I love the chiropractic profession, but that opened up my mind to going like, okay, what can I do in this profession? Is there something else that I can do? And at the same time, I saw that a lot of people were being treated quite badly as associates. So I kind of set upon from there to open multiple sites and really be a finishing school, if you will, for chiropractors. So we have a rule at Halsa is that everybody leaves better. So I will sleep well at night. I sleep really well at night when I just have a feeling that there's a chiropractor that serves more people, or has a busier practice, or practices vitalistic chiropractic because of someone either I introduced them to, or exposed them to, or paid for them to be in front of, or go to a conference, or any one of those above things. So that's, I believe, how we grew quite quickly. We grew 30% year on year. We went from 1 site to 8 sites, essentially, within 3 to 5 years, somewhere in there, in that period of time. And, we're turning over well over $7 million a year, and 8 sites right now. And we have a lot of fun. We run our own conferences, we do a lot of things, but keep me a bit busy. And then more recently, within the last year and a half, we started an inner circle group. And we have over 100 docs on that page, and people we help all over the world with their marketing, etc. So fully invested, like, my life is chiropractic. I'm involved in chiropractic. We're very blessed to have this profession. So in a nutshell, that's my story. And some of you might have heard it. I've spoken at Focus. So we'll be speaking at Paul Reed's amazing event, ChiroFest, and I'll be speaking at Dr. Daniel Knowles' event, Mile High. So I'll be across the States telling our story a little bit more. I hope that gives you a nutshell what we do.
I love it. I absolutely love it, Doc. You're doing amazing things for this profession, for the UK and all of those docs. I love what you said. I wrote it down, finishing school for chiropractic, because I think that's really important, because as students, we come out and we think we have to know everything, or that we already are nurtured to our egos in school, and then all of a sudden you get out and you're like, oh crap, reality strikes, and you don't know as much as you thought you did. And I think having a doc like yourself and a mentor, and calling it a finishing school, and saying, you know what, everybody leaves, and that they're leaving a better person, a more vitalistic doctor, and they're able to handle themselves, no matter if that's a part of your group and opening a new office, or if that's just going out and serving the community themselves, which I think is super powerful. So thanks for sharing that with us.
I'll add one other thing.
Yeah.
We are now, I believe we're up to 12. It's between 10 and 12 CAs that have now gone on to study chiropractic. So I always look at that and I go, we've had the full circle. We've had somebody come join us as a patient, then a CA, then gone to study chiropractic, and now come and work for us as an associate. And they started with us as a patient. And I always think to myself that just from our little journey, we've created CAs that have come into our environment, and between 10 and 12 of them, somewhere down there, that have gone on to become chiropractors, which is pretty cool, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
So yeah, I'm very proud of that. You know, whether it's turnover or new patients or money or service or 8 practices or whatever, I always would say, like, that's one of my proudest accolades, is that we've created, you know, just from CAs, some chiropractors.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. And I think that you get a sense with your group, especially you get a sense, even virtually for me, a sense of community, right? That camaraderie that you've created and cultivated with that group of people, that, you know, that patient wanted to become a CA, and then they understood chiropractic so much that they were like, all right, it's time to go be a chiropractor myself, right? So I can start doing what Dr. Ryan's doing and help more people, see more people, and be a part of this profession. I think that's really cool.
Cool. I think, but what's very important to mention is, and I don't think we talk about this enough, and you mentioned it a little bit. You said, you know, when you come from college and you go out to the big bad world, and then your reality hits, right? But I'll tell you this, is that we don't talk about this enough, because sometimes and I am a regular speaker, if you will, across the world, but sometimes the sages from the stage may give you an impression that times were always not tough for them, and that is absolutely not true. And I don't care how successful you are in business, there's a saying that says every level has a new devil. So what everyone needs to understand is, I don't care how successful you are in business is tough. Business has tough days. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're going to have challenges. And it's not if, it's when. Mm-hmm. And the idea that I remember one of my mentors once saying, I remember someone from the audience stood up and said, hey, you know, I just want to be like you. Is one of my mentors. And I just want to wake up every day and love what I do. I love it and be so passionate. And he looked at her and he said, well, then you're going to have a tough old ride, because there's still that. I love what I do, but there's still days I wake up and go, like, today's a tough day.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. There's maybe a hire that didn't work out the way it was, or you look at your accounts and you have to work with an accountant, and who likes doing that? And you've got meetings you have to run and things. So sometimes I think we're guilty of not running responsible businesses because we've been sold an idea that all you need is, for instance, the big idea or the big story. And let me tell you that it changes your life. Yeah. But we forget that the laws of business are pertinent in your practice as pertinent, and there are fundamental panacea laws of business in every business that should be there. We just don't talk about it enough. Right. So people go into the real world and they're expecting build it and they will come. And often that is true. I always say the easiest year in your practice is your first year. It's also the hardest moment, but the first year practice is your easiest, because the number one thing, you've got energy. You've got excitement. Yep. You're passionate. You talk to the chiropractor in practice over 10 years, and you'll see then it's systems, structure, discipline, doing the boring stuff. Mm-hmm. Success is doing the boring stuff that takes you over the long ride. Yeah. Not the big passionate stuff. It's doing the boring stuff that helps you, and making sure that you're getting your nice dose of, whether it's green books or conferences. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny. I've never heard it put that way before, but I absolutely agree. I think that even, you know, as a young coming into doctor, I'm looking at docs who have been out for 20 plus years, and I absolutely see what you're talking about. And then you see the young people, you know, I see all over Facebook, oh, I'm opening my office, blah, blah, blah. We're doing all the build out and everything like this. And, yeah, they're rambunctious. But, Doc, let's jump in.
Which is important, by the way.
Yes.
But I'm telling you now, it's structure, systems, and boring stuff that helps you in business long term.
Yes.
So anyway, go.
Playing the long game. So let's jump right into content and topics here. I want to bullet list them, and then we're going to just jump right in, Doc. So you're going to, we got scaling 8 chiropractic sites and practices to over $7 million, how they generated 11,000 new clients last year, and the 4 key principles that every chiropractor needs to know to be successful. So let's talk about scaling your 8 practices. Where did you, I know you talked a little bit in your intro about how you branched out and you saw like the associates were not being treated as well as you thought they should be, but talk to us a little bit about where the group came from and how it got to where it is today.
Okay, cool. Well, the story really came from us sitting down, having lunch with my business partner, and we kind of identified there was a gap in the marketplace from really having good practices that were run well and had the fundamentals, the basics going really, really nice and a good place to work, and really become a bit of a finishing school for people to then eventually go open their own practices. But then really to understand that our success was going to be determined on once people have left us, how are they, like if that was our mindset going like, right, so we determine our success from how people, when they leave us, what do their practices look like, then we just part of their journey and hopefully we get the nice uplift from that journey. And it's really proved to be true. So it really started out of that and then scaling. And, I was young. I was 26 when I started Halsa. He was my business partner. 26. I genuinely didn't have a clue what I was doing.
We never do.
And anyone who kind of stands on stage and tells you they do know what they're doing is a lot of the times, if from a marketing perspective, someone knows exactly what they're doing, you should always be a little bit nervous because marketing is testing and so is business. So we always joke and say that the secret to success is make as many mistakes as possible, as quickly as possible. And then we just scaled, we were quite fearless and we just decided, one of the things I can tell everyone listening to this, and if you are, because you have a lot of students that listen to this, one of the things that made me quite fearless when it came to business was that at the end of the day, as a chiropractor, you've got this and you've got this and you can set up in a field in the middle of nowhere and you can provide for your family, serve people and have a great life beyond your wildest dreams. And you've got this and this. And that gave me a lot of, if you will, confidence in business because at the end of the day, I was okay with it all failing because at the end of the day, I was going to just do what I was going to do anyway, which was practice and see a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And I hope you go, and if you listen to this and you're a student and you're going out to the business practice, going out to practice soon, understand that you're in a very blessed position. If you look at other businesses, look at a dentist. I mean, the amount of money amount of capital a dentist has to raise to start a practice is substantially more than us as a chiropractor. We just need our hands, right? Mm-hmm. And a nice place and you're off, right? And you can always upscale from there. So yeah, from a scaling perspective, I will say this. It's a different game. There is different levels of business. One being a practitioner. Once you're a successful operator, that's a completely different game from being a successful business operator. So an operator is very much in the business and working on the business is very, very, very different. And you got the biggest challenge to scaling practices or businesses is something called complexity. Most people don't realize this is that once you scale a business is that you can simply go from 3 practices, sites, or personnel to 4 practices, sites, or personnel, and you may only grow the team by 33%, but you grow complexity by 400%. Mm-hmm. When you go from 12 to 14 team members, that is equal to the same increase in complexity as the first 8 team members by growing 2 people.
Yeah.
So for every 2 people you grow past 12, you're increasing complexity by the first 8. So what people don't realize is that's why so many businesses, and I don't know if you know this, what percentage of businesses the percentage of businesses on the planet that ever get over $5 million is 1%. That includes multinational corporations, 1%. And so often in the beginning, when you're starting with your practice, you don't see that because it's easy. I can speak to you. Let's say I'm the CA, Johnny, and you start the practice. It's just 2 levels of communication. Right. But the biggest challenge to scaling is something called complexity. So we wanted to scale. We made lots of mistakes. We learned a lot. I had to learn how to run a business. I had to learn how to run a team. I had to learn how to, in chiropractic, we talk about systems. But I'll tell you, we're actually pretty good at systems in chiropractic. What all businesses lack is structure. Mm-hmm. The difference between systems and structure comes down to what's the context of your business. Do you have core values? Are you running weekly meetings? Are you running quarterly meetings? Are you running annual meetings? Do you have a weekly scorecard? What are you measuring? How are you measuring it? Are you shining a light on what they call mushrooms in your business? Mushrooms are like problems in your business are like mushrooms. If you shine a light on them, they don't grow. So when I work with a business, most of the time the first thing we do is implement structure, not systems, and it sorts itself out. So I had to learn that to scale. And we got to 8 sites and we had a lot of fun doing it. So that's really our scaling story. And then along that same line, I really had to learn how to market myself. Mm-hmm. I was going when I was an associate already, I was flying across to America 2 or 3 times a year to go to marketing conferences many years ago and work with some of the best copywriters and online people, etc. So to my knowledge, I don't know anyone in the chiropractic profession that spends as much on Facebook personally, not other people's money in an agency, personally, than myself. And there may be, I just don't know anyone. So we got 8 practices. We spent $150,000 on Facebook last year alone. And I'm sure there might be, but I just don't know of anyone. So we've learned a lot of mistakes. We're testing, and then I have an inner circle group, and we give them all our Facebook strategies and our tests and etc. So that's really our scaling story.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. I mean, the growing one practice is sometimes enough for people. But like you were saying, that complexity, I had never heard that before of, you add one person or you add only 2 people and the complexity increases, however many 100%. And that's impactful, and it takes a lot of toll on the practitioner and the manager and the owner, or whatever you want to call yourself, running these different groups, because at a certain point, there is kind of a hierarchy that needs to be put in place. And if you and your business partner are at the top and you got all these people below you, you're like, hold on now, wait, we just added another person. What is that going to do to, and then it trickles back up to you guys. And that's always something that you got to keep in mind.
Yeah. And what is a saying in business, turnover is vanity and profit is sanity. And I have worked with businesses at 300 to 400 a week, literally 300 to 400 visits a week, and they break even. They broke.
Yeah.
So there's more, like when you hear people talk about numbers. I mean, when we cleaned up our numbers, we made more money at 3,000 visits a week than we did at 3,500 visits a week, because we understood our numbers. We ran a responsible business. We cleaned that up. So you'll see I'm very big on structure. I'm very big on talking about business. I don't think we talk about it enough.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. I don't want, this is not meant to scare chiropractors coming out into the marketplace, but it is meant to give you awareness. Is that chiropractors is one of the highest default loans of any medical profession, if you will, of any highest default loan on their student loans in America, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we're not taught how to run a business.
Right.
Like, yes, you need the nothing changed my life more by getting certainty on chiropractic and the big idea. But that it's an and conversation. You have got to know how to run a responsible business. You've got to know how to market yourself. You've got to know how to have a sales, if you will, department, a marketing department, and an accounts department, and have something called an accountability chart in your business, so you know who does what.
Yeah.
And we've been fed a lifestyle business lie. And the lifestyle business lie is this. Is that I'm going to practice, I'm going to keep it small, and I'm going to take 8 weeks off a year, or 3 months off a year, and I can promise you it's a lie. What I mean from a lie perspective, you have to be able to run a good business to be able to do that.
Yep.
The lifestyle business comes from being a good businessman, not from keeping it small and running a lifestyle business.
Right.
And so I'm very passionate about this stuff, as you can hear, because I get the messages from the guys who like, Ryan, I want to close my practice. I want to get out of the profession, and it makes me sad. And I know Life West and Life in where you are in Atlanta, and some of these Sherman College, a lot of those colleges. When I'm so proud of them when they run business courses and how to run this business, because together with philosophy, that is what we're missing in our schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And the business is important, and a lot of business is changing every single day, right? I mean, you were talking about $150,000 in Facebook ads. We would have never thought that, 5-6 years ago, ever. And it's amazing the influence that social media and, you and I talking right now has impacted business in general. And that's a topic probably for another episode, but it's amazing where technology has brought us. And so let's dive right into that, Doc. Let's dive right into marketing, sales, and how you guys generated over 11,000 new clients just last year. I would love to talk about that, and I know you're passionate about this stuff, and I want you to just have the floor and
Cool.
Fill us in.
I am passionate about this because if you listen to this, write this down. Marketing is the fuel to your business fire. It is. And sometimes to the detriment of marketing can cover up a lot of mistakes. That doesn't mean that they should continue to be that way for the long term. But I'm just helping a doc now. He's in his 6th week of practice, and he's generating 30 new patients a week within his first 6 weeks of practice. And he's just done my course, New Patient Avalanche. He's an Inner Circle member, and he's done a few strategies. Okay, a couple of things I want to talk about marketing. One is the worst number in business is 1. So if all you get from this podcast and you're watching this and you understand the worst number in business is 1, you are better than 90% of the people out there. Meaning, what happens is we find one marketing source that works really well for us. Let's say it's dinner with a doc. Let's say it's Facebook. Let's say it's newspapers, whatever it is. And then we get a little bit lazy. Okay. So everyone watching this, I want you to run your business or practice as if any one marketing source can be taken away from you tomorrow. And the reality is that it can. The stories of Facebook marketers that had their Facebook accounts shut down the storybooks are riddled with people having some of the most successful people on the planet have had their Facebook accounts shut down. So your Facebook success can be taken away from you tomorrow. And the reality of it is there's a good chance Facebook may not exist one day.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to learn how to run on a different platform. Changing, right? Yep. And there's Instagram. But if you look at the average age on Instagram, they're not necessarily they still would go all in on Facebook right now, but you're going to get cheap leads on Instagram. But if you look at the average age, you probably still want to be spending a lot of time on Facebook. Every time there is a controversy on Facebook, I get excited, which means the big business stays out of it. So every time there's a hacking scandal at something, I get excited because it means that it means that less people are going to be using Facebook, which is good for marketers.
Right.
Which keeps our cost per lead down. Doesn't cost us much to advertise if there's controversy in the marketplace. So I never mind when they say a big Russian scandal. I'll get excited. So that's the thing. So worst number in business is 1. I simplify these things. You've got to be careful in the marketing world not to get too distracted by the shiny object syndrome. There is no quick fix. There is no fancy bullet. There is no short fix that's going to sort your practice out and magically bring in new patients while you sit at home in your underwear. It doesn't happen, right?
Yep.
But I think some great strategies that are good, well time-tested strategies that will help your business or any business for that matter over time. So this is what I teach. 4 strategies that every single practice should implement and aggressively, because you should always have multiple streams of new patients. Number 1 is in some way, shape, or form, every single practice should have some time of on-the-ground presence. Okay, and that is summarized by a number of things, but let's just call those community outreach events right now, which may take the form of, say, screenings. And there are some of the biggest practices on the planet that were built on that one foundation, and whether you like it or not, is we are bricks and mortar, which means that you have to understand Facebook can only help you to a certain level. Why do I say that? I mean, I go to some upscale marketing conferences from Facebook, and they will often say, don't even advertise on Facebook if your audience sizes are not above 1 million. Now, when we around our little practices, we've sometimes only got 10,000 people we can target, 20,000 people, 30,000 people, which is good. You can reach a lot of people cheaply, but the reality is you're going to burn through that what they call ad fatigue very quickly. So you have to change up the selling environment. Meaning, what you want to do is you want to become something called omnipresent, and that's from a very famous marketer called Jay Abraham. Okay, you want to write that down, everyone. You want to read all the Jay Abraham stuff. So you want someone to open up Facebook, and you're going to be there. They open up the newspaper, and you're there. They check their post, and there's a postcard from you. They walk down to Walmart, and they pass one of your team members there. They may even go down to their business, and you're doing a talk there. That's what we mean by omnipresent. And they check their inbox, and they've just got an email from you. That's omnipresent, right? Yeah. So number one strategy is some type of on-the-ground strategy, whether it's a screening strategy, whether you go or not. I promise you, whether you do one event a month, one event a week, one event every quarter, it's simple, but it's not easy. Yeah. Meaning it takes time and it takes effort, but there are no silver bullets. So that's the first one. Next strategy is some type, what I call, so we have on the grounds. Okay, next strategy is some type of Facebook strategy. Okay, so I'll summarize that for you briefly. Facebook is I don't know if you're aware of this, Johnny. Like, do you know the rules in Facebook change daily?
Yeah. I get notifications. It's like, oh, new update. I'm like, what?
What you could do on Facebook yesterday, you couldn't do today. You know, So Facebook, if I broadly break down the strategies you can use in Facebook, there is your one-touch campaigns, which is like, hey, we're just going to make an offer, come in for a discounted offer, and there's a time and place for that, but very little longevity in that, because you can only hit the marketplace so many times with the, hey, come in for it, whatever, you know.
Right.
Then you've got building like what they call intent-based branding, where you are putting out videos, putting out content. We recently did an interview. My brother actually did an interview with Russell Brand. I don't know if you saw it. We had 700 shares within. I think we're up to 150,000 views within like 2 weeks, and 700 shares.
I did see that. It was awesome.
But now the beauty of that is not actually video. The beauty of that is I can retarget everyone around my practices that watched that video.
Yep.
So that's another strategy. And then you've got content that you can push out in the marketplace over time. So some type of Facebook strategy included in that. We drive people from Facebook into our practices for educational talks, which are equivalent to your dinner with the doc talk. So a Facebook strategy that includes Google pay-per-click and Instagram. But if you're watching this right now, your biggest bang for your buck are going to have a basic pay-per-click advert campaign and just go all in on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Instagram is not relevant. It's just that your biggest bang for your buck right now is going to be Facebook. Trust me. Okay. So Facebook. Next strategy is what I briefly talk about is there is nothing. I often get asked this question: if I had to do it all over again, Johnny, start from scratch, what would I do? And the next strategy is what I'll do is talks.
Yeah.
So you can drive, there's three types of talks that I'll talk about. One is it comes in the form of some type of orientation talk, which has many different names. People call it dinner with the doc within the practice. People sometimes do it before day one. Sometimes people do it after report of findings as part of the care plan. And the basic kind of understanding of it is, we're going to invite people into a pre-care class, and they're going to be educated on what chiropractic's all about, the big idea, and they bring a guest along. So that's one strategy. I will just say this, is that the word educate comes from the Latin word to educe, which means to draw out. So you've got to change our mindset. It's not about shoving information down anyone's throat. It's about asking good questions. So that's the first thing, orientation talks. Next type of talk we have is corporate talks. So you've got to go into companies. Without a doubt, one of the most underused things, we do sometimes 3-4 a week of these across my practices. The big difference about doing a talk, say, in the general population, and then going into a company to do a talk, is that your positioning changes from being the unwanted pest to the invited guest. Okay, and that is set up by the contact person, because they want the event to be good. So they will often go out of their way to make you look even more of an expert that you are. And it is just a wonderful environment. The trust is a lot more. For you to be in there in the first place, It's different. So there's some specific strategies. We teach a 10-step strategy to maintain circle members and how to get people in the room and invite them into the practice. And we teach something called double whammy on those days, which works really well. So that's the second strategy, which is corporate talks. And the third strategy is what I call the lazy man's way of doing it, which is fantastic, is getting people to come into your practice, from outside into your community. So you invite them into your practice or into a dinner with a local restaurant, dinner with Doc.
Yep.
But we do this mostly on Facebook, and we drive them into the practice, and we can have anywhere from 30 to 60 people show up. But having said that, I would gladly take 10 people in the room every single week for the rest of my life, and I'll build $1 million practice many times over with that. So what's happened is sometimes we get a little bit like, oh, 50 people didn't show up. It sucks. I'm like, no, dude, like if 5 people show up every single week, you've got an amazing one of the spokes in your marketing wheel. Does it make sense?
Yep. Makes great sense.
Awesome. So we got talks. That's it. So we got first one is on the grounds. Second one is Facebook strategies. 3 is some type of talk strategy. And 4, I'm a big believer in event-based marketing. So in America, your holiday or vacation-based events, stuff like Halloween, stuff like Valentine's Day, stuff like whether it's Easter, those type of events. We do a Christmas, New Year, New You every single year. We do a Christmas, New Year, New You, and this year I think we did close to 600 reactivations from a list of 6,000. It's a 10% response rate. So people hadn't been in for months. Yeah. So we will do a campaign around an event, and an email, it's prints, it's whatever it is. So it just works. It works so nicely. So when I teach a marketing strategy, there's so much you could do. And within that, what I call their fillers, there's live chat on your website, there's bridges on your website, there's all sorts of strategies I can teach you there. But those are the 4 that I'm like, if you're just at least doing that, Johnny, you are going to have a nice, robust business.
Yeah.
That predictably predicts growth over time. And sometimes you're going to, of the 4, one's going to be dropping in results a little bit, but then the other 3 will carry you through. And then you'll have a bad screening, and then the other 3 will carry you through. And then one of the Facebook ads won't work, and then the other 3 or 2 will carry you through. So the idea is to have multiple forms of new clients. Yeah. So, obviously I do a 6-week course, and we go 3 hours every single call. I could literally talk about this for 12 hours straight. But I'll stop there. That's all you need to know for now.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Doc, that was incredible information. So what I want to recap for my audience a little bit of what I wrote down, some notes that I took back. If you have anything to add to what I say, Doc, please feel free to interject at any time. The number one thing is the worst thing you can do is only do one thing. The worst number in marketing, the worst number in business is 1. And I think we can apply that to different sectors of business, in not only including marketing, but even, sales or one patient or one, you can't just have the number 1. And they say it's the worst lead in like hockey or something. I don't know. It's like you get cocky and then you lose it. So 1 is the worst number. The second thing is marketing is the fuel to your business fire. Absolutely. I think that behind any successful business is successful marketing. And without here's something I want you to kind of talk a little bit about. People who are just coming out and they want to start a practice, and they're going in, day 1, and everyone you hear all of these stories, especially in school, you hear all these stories, and you're like, you can't just sit there and wait for people. You can't just put your name on the door with DR in front of it and sit there and wait for people to come in. What can people do either prior to opening their doors or while their doors are open? What is the number 1 thing that they can do right away? And then I'll finish my recap.
Nice. Well, fantastic question. It's a really great question. The first thing I'd say is I was actually, before we went live, we mentioned a bit. I've just finished a tour, as you know, Johnny, but the audience might not know, a European tour with Robert Kiyosaki and the Rich Dad Advisors. Now, if you don't know who Robert Kiyosaki is, he wrote, it is statistically the best-selling business book of all time, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What most people don't know is that he's written over 20 books, though, and I think combined close to 30 million books sold across the world.
Wow.
Yeah, 72 now, and we went on tour with him. We spoke London, Poland and Romania, and with him and his Rich Dad advisors. And I always say, if you're going to go to a conference, even in this podcast, it's maybe just one thing that I'm going to say, or that you're going to say, Johnny, that can change someone's life.
Yeah.
And just happened to be in the room, and one of his rich dads were talking, and he said, the worst 3 or 4 words in business are, I'll do it myself. And I was sitting there, and every level is a new devil, and I was sitting there. I learned so much from that. I was like, where am I going to figure out the Facebook thing myself? Am I going to figure out the email marketing strategy myself? And like the universe loves speed. And he's like, the worst sentence in business is, I'll do it myself. And how many people like it's slow? The universe loves speed. So your job when you're coming out of college is to look for shortcuts. Okay. On that note, you're going to have to work on yourself, because at school, we were taught. So the schooling system, I'm going to have a little go at the schooling system now. The schooling system teaches us that if we copy, what is that?
What is?
If we copy someone's work, what is that?
It's plagiarism.
It's cheating, right?
Yeah, it's cheating. Yeah.
It's cheating. Cheating is cheating good or bad?
It's bad.
It's bad, right? So we thought, hey, if you cheat, copying is cheating. But I want to be clear, in business, it's irresponsible not to copy.
I love it.
It's irresponsible not to what they call model.
Yeah.
But because we're so ingrained in us, Johnny, your success and your success has no relevance to my success. You understand?
Yep.
But what happens in business is that, we'll see someone doing something really well, and instead of shamelessly model that thing, we think we have to recreate the wheel. So I always joke, and I'll say that I'm the most unoriginal businessman in the world. Almost nothing I teach you is mine. I have learned, I've been to the courses, I've paid the mentors, I've made the mistakes, I've paid the tuition in mistakes in my own business many times. So one of the things I want everyone to do, if you're a young doc going into practice now, just remember that you do not have to recreate the wheel. Your shortcuts are, don't try to do it yourself. Find someone to help you, even if you can't afford a mentor or coach right now. I would do whatever you can to do that, because it's going to save you a lot of pain. So that's the first thing, is don't even try to do it yourself. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I've had people come to me before and go, I want to be just like you, Ryan, and do it all. I do it myself. It was like, well, I didn't do it myself. I've got a business partner who's amazing. I've got mentors that I've paid all throughout my life. I've always got a mentor I'm paying right now. I've got multiple mentors I'm paying. I'm always part of a mastermind group. So first thing you said, or what you see here is without a doubt, shadow of a doubt, not me. It's all the mentorship and stuff that I've done over time. Yeah. So don't go to practice thinking you have to do it yourself, because that is a big mistake. Find someone to help you. That's the number one thing. And then if you open a practice, we've opened lots of practices from scratch. I just have a little basic rule of 100 new patients before I open the door. Love it. So, and if you aim for 100 and you end up with 50, it's pretty cool too, And lastly, from a marketing perspective, most of the stuff I'm going to teach you right now is all mindset. I can teach you strategies. I can talk for hours about the strategies, but if you don't understand the mindset behind it, you'll have a tough time. And one of the mindsets I need to teach you is, one of the biggest things that holds us back as chiropractors, it's actually any professional environment. It's fear of judgment, peer-to-peer judgment. Mm-hmm. So, Johnny, just before you do that Facebook Live, or just before you put the Facebook advert out, or just before you do something, you go, wow, what's Dr. So-and-so going to say? What's Dr. So-and-so going to say, right? So anyone watching this now, that'll keep you small. Yeah. It'll keep you small. Yeah. So you've got to be okay. I'll never forget going to a conference, and the speaker said, the only reason I'm on stage teaching you and not the other way around is that I'm prepared to look stupid in public more than you are. And the founder of LinkedIn said, if you're not at least a little bit embarrassed of your first launch, your first Facebook ad, your first newspaper ad, your first opening, your first whatever, you haven't gone fast enough. Huh. You don't get to skip being bad at the thing. Being bad at the thing is the tuition to be good at the thing. So if there's anything I can tell you right now, just Like, just go and make mistakes quickly, but don't do it by yourself, because your mistakes that you make with a mentor are at least going to be guided in the same direction and not in the like opposite direction. So find some type of guidance and then go and make as many mistakes as possible. Honestly, because your success is directly proportional to how many mistakes you go out there and make quickly so that you can learn from them. Yeah. So that's advice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You heard it here first. Cheat in business. That's what I got from that. I'm just teasing.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you this. Whatever you want to achieve in business, someone else has done it before you.
Absolutely.
And you, like, whether it's go for lunch with them, whether it's go look at their website. And if their website's working, why on the earth would you want to recreate the wheel? Yeah. Why on earth would you want to go through easily sometimes $1 million worth of tests? It's only pride.
Right.
It's only pride that makes us go, no, I'm going to figure it out by myself.
Absolutely.
Like, forget it. There's 1 million people that have achieved what you want to achieve. Go find them, go spend time with them, go buy them lunch, go do whatever you have to do to be close to them, pay them, whatever it takes. That's what I mean. It's like, go and model someone. Yeah. Don't try to figure it out yourself. And then in time, you'll figure out your own philosophies and your own ideas. And in the beginning, trust yourself less. Go and find someone to help you. And that's my advice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think every person, when you start taking these, I just did a solo Facebook Live just yesterday, and I was talking about, learning the business, because now that I'm running the job board, I have to kind of learn the business side of things, especially with like licensure and LLC and limited liability companies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is all this? And we don't learn that in school. But what's really cool is that I can read, I'm reading 3 different books right now on business. I got the Harvard Business Review on sales. I have E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and I have Launch by Jeff Walker, all 3 of which I'm reading currently. And I absolutely love all 3 of them. But what I'm doing is I'm taking little bits and pieces from everything that they say, and I'm like, okay, that really doesn't apply to me right now, but in the future, that could really, really help me and ramp up my, my marketing, my sales, my business, and really the strategies behind business is what you get from learning from different people and taking from different people, and learn to apply it. I'm going to urge everybody out there watching this, learn to apply what you are taking, because it's not likely that a perfect book or a perfect webinar or a perfect mastermind is going to be aimed at the chiropractor. It's just not, it's not out there right now. Or if it is out there, they took all of that business and then just re-put it into a book and sold it to you. So learn different pieces from all sorts of areas of business, and then take that away and apply it to what you're doing, because what you're doing, like you said earlier in this podcast, your success is not my success, but it's going to look very different. But if we both get to where we want to be, that's considered successful, right?
Of course. Innovation is highly overrated.
Yes.
Innovation. Apple was not the first company to invent the iPod.
Yeah.
Innovation, it's often second to market that wins.
Yes.
So that would be my thing. Just get out there and model someone successful. And what you're doing today is really helping people get awareness. The first part you change is awareness. So first awareness, and if you don't have awareness, it's very hard to change anything. So congratulations for doing this whole thing, and I've really enjoyed it. And I don't know if you want me to touch on any other subjects, but I think we've probably just about done quite a lot of information overload for everyone listening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the chiropractic way. It's just a fire hose right at shot in your mouth. It's great. But Doc, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for everything that you do for the profession, not only not only in the UK, but internationally. You're an inspiration not only to myself, but a lot of colleagues of mine and students and docs out there. So keep up your hard work. Keep what you're doing. And last but not least, I want to encourage everybody to reach out to Dr. Ryan. Doc, give us your best contact information or your best way to get involved in your programs, both for Americans and UK, European people.
Cool. So we have my inner circle / mentorship business is dcpracticegrowth.com. Now, John, if you go on there, there's some podcast stuff on there people can listen to. There's some free information they can download on there. But go to dcpracticegrowth.com. If you're starting a practice, there's even a free strategy call on there. Sometimes I will do that, and not even my team, so I can personally do that sometimes. Go apply for that. Those are probably the best way, dcpracticegrowth.com, or simply just connect with me on Facebook, and it will be Ryan Rieder, and then if you will, my business page, DC Practice Growth Ryan Rieder, and then on my personal page, Ryan Rieder. That's Rieder. But either of those is perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc, for being on the show. Thank you for all of this amazing information, content, and value. I always go back and I rewatch all of my podcasts because when you're interviewing somebody, you don't always pick up on everything. And I go back and I take a whole new sheet of notes because I think it's really important to learn from you guys. And that's why I bring you on, because you got to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. And I've learned that very quickly. So thank you for everything you're doing, Doc.
You're so welcome, man. And I'll tell you what, if we had more people like yourself and energy and passionate people going out there and doing cool stuff that you're doing, the profession would be a better place. So thank you for everything you're doing. Today was so much fun. Thank you so much for organizing it. Thank you so much for accommodating the time difference and everything like that. So if you're watching this, I hope it's been helpful. Johnny, thank you for your part you play in this, and I hope to connect with those in America. If you come say hi, I'm going to be speaking at Mile High, and I'm speaking at Chirofest. So make sure you come say hi to me if you've met me virtually through this podcast. So thanks, Johnny.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Jay Abraham. I will be at Chiro Sushi in end of June, and Jay Abraham is actually their keynote speaker at Chiro Sushi this year, which is pretty cool. So that's going to be some omnipresence for sure. So quick shameless plug. We launched our job board recently. Chiropractors out there, if you're looking to hire an associate, and I know Dr. Rieder here has hired several hundreds of associates in his day. So if you're looking to hire an associate, independent contractor, or looking to sell your chiropractic practice, whatever it might be, choose Chiropractic. Choose to post your chiropractic job advert with us on the Legendary Chiropractor website. Head to postachiropracticjob.com now to post your chiropractic advert with us. We do Facebook Lives. We sit down together and we chat all about your business and how it's set apart from the rest of the pack, because I think that's really important for people to see you, hear from you, and learn what you and your practice is all about. So, Doc, thank you so much for being on this podcast, and have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. What time is it there right now?
We are just reaching 3 p.m. UK time.
Awesome. Yep, it's just coming up on 10 a.m. here. So I finished my coffee. We're good to go. And have a lovely, lovely day. Thanks again, Doc.
You too, buddy. All the best.